Hello everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Jack and today I'm going to be sharing my review of the new Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling movie, The Fall Guy. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, and join me in the comment section to share your thoughts on The Fall Guy if you've seen it and your expectations if you have not. With the arrival of The Fall Guy, the latest action blockbuster from director David Leitch, the summer movie season has officially begun. The trailers just absolutely sold me on this movie. I thought it really looked like a fun time, so it was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. So I went and saw it this weekend with my mom, my brother, and a friend of ours. So here's what I thought about it, starting with what I liked about it. Now, at its surface, Fall Guy is an action movie that just kicks a lot of ass. It is directed by a former stuntman, and you can tell with every little bit about this movie, he wanted to celebrate a really underrated line of work. This is just a movie that honors all these underrated heroes who literally risk their lives to make movies awesome, and so that's something really cool about it. There's all these epic and well-choreographed action sequences, a lot of cool car chases, and by nature, the stunts in this movie are just going to be next level. They break 2 world records in this movie with the 8-time barrel roll as well as the 250-foot jump. So really, there's a lot to love here and a lot about it that is just awesome in terms of being a groundbreaking action film. And it's on that note that it has a lot of cool cinematography, and it's directed and edited in such a way that you will never be bored. It'll always find some way to manage and stimulate tension. Ryan Gosling in the lead performance as this character Colt was just really awesome. He was a lot of fun in Barbie, so seeing him sort of do this rugged, rough around the edges, kind of action hero version of Ken just always sounded really intriguing to me. And that's a lot of what we get here. He's an action hero who can kick a lot of ass while still having these very vital human flaws. A lot like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China. He's just so likable, and when you make a character that likable but such a loser sometimes, you can't help but root for him and feel like you're right there in his shoes. And it just makes the movie relatable to a whole other level. He has great chemistry with Emily Blunt, who really spends the whole movie trying not to be impressed with everything he's doing for her, but you can tell she's undeniably charmed by the whole thing. And when you give an action hero such relatable and human wants and vices, you'll care a lot more for the guy at the center of the fight scenes. There's plenty of other great performances in here. Aaron Taylor Johnson is hilarious and charismatic as all hell. Winston Duke is great. And the soundtrack in here is just packed front to back with bangers. I Was Made for Lovin' You by Kiss works really well in this movie as sort of the kind of unofficial theme song. It's played several times. It's used in variations throughout the score, which is really cool. And there's even this awesome, epic, slowed down Youngblood cover that plays at one point. So as someone who loves Kiss that also loves Youngblood, that was really cool to hear. There's a ton of other classic rock bangers in there, and there's even a Taylor Swift song. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but they used it in such a way that I found it absolutely hilarious. Furthermore, it also had a really smart and interesting plot that really worked for me. There'll be these little sort of details and background things that they'll sort of set up throughout the movie that you'll kind of take for granted, but then they'll come back later to play an important part in even individual action sequences or sometimes the whole story in general. There's a twist about halfway through that I didn't exactly see coming, but it wasn't really out of nowhere and it didn't really happen just for shock value. It was delivered in a way that just felt natural and organic, which is awesome because I feel like in so many movies, they just force twists in there to get a shock out of the audience without any regards to how much it benefits the story, you know, just sort of like the Ryan Johnson type thing. But Fall Guy did it in such a way that it worked, and I really can't remember the last time I saw a movie that had a twist that just worked that well.
Nothing like a good twist.
Who doesn't love a twist?
It's kind of funny how most blockbusters that come out lately just focus on getting a character from point A to point B with some run-of-the-mill character development in the middle. So it was really refreshing to see a movie with so many twists, turns, and challenges for the hero around every corner. It generally combines all the qualities that make a blockbuster great, and it emulates them to an exemplary level, all in this movie that's a celebration of an underrated line of work in the film industry. So there's a lot to love here, but there are a little bit of critiques critiques I have of it. In terms of mixed or bad elements, there's nothing like offensively bad about it. It does take a little bit of a second to get going, and there is some choppy dialogue at the beginning, but once it does get going and you're invested in the plot, you're in deep and it's impossible to not be immersed. It might also be a little bit niche in nature, considering that I love movies. I'm curious about the way movies are made, and I'm even interested in being a filmmaker myself. I found a lot to relate to about this movie. But if you're just a casual moviegoer who only goes to the theaters for a movie like a couple times a year, I don't know if you'll connect with it as much as I did. Regardless, there is a lot of fun to be had. So with a movie that just puts such a huge smile on your face, it gets a little bit hard to nitpick, so you just say, what the heck, and kick your feet up for the ride. In conclusion, The Fall Guy has everything you could want in a movie. It has action, comedy, romance, an interesting plot, a great soundtrack, and awesome practical effects. And it fits all of this into this glorious celebration of stunt work and movie making, so it was very much my cup of tea. I understand it's not for everybody, nor is it the greatest movie ever made, but as someone who loves action movies and is interested in being a filmmaker, I just loved this film. I'd all around rated an 8.5 out of 10. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. You can go follow me on Letterboxd. My username is Jack Higgins, then in parentheses, The Geek Gossip. I absolutely adored The Fall Guy. It's my favorite movie of the year. That's why its poster is over there in the corner. So if you saw the trailer for it and thought it looked like a fun time, I recommend you check it out and go see it in the theaters, because I'm really glad I got to see it on the big screen. Have you seen The Fall Guy? If so, what did you think of it? And if you haven't seen it, what are your expectations? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear everything that you'd have to say about this subject. That's gonna have to wrap it up for this video. Thanks so much for watching, YouTube. Until next time, I will see you on the flip side.
God, I hate that thumbs up stuff.